the dim hush of midnight, when the world forgets itself, something ancient stirs behind the eyes. The body lies still, wrapped in sheets, but the mind slips through invisible corridors. Thought becomes vapor, identity becomes mist, and there, beyond the veil of waking consciousness, another world begins. This is the dream realm, a land sculpted not by physics, but by psyche, a dimension untethered from time, space, and logic, yet more intimate than breath. Here, you are the architect and the inhabitant, the observer and the spectacle, the god and the ghost. It is a theatre of mirrors, each image a reflection of your deepest patterns, desires, and fears, though they often wear unfamiliar masks. But there is a stranger mystery still. What happens when you know you are dreaming? What happens when the dreamer awakens inside the dream? Lucid dreaming is not merely a curiosity of sleep science, nor simply a psychological trick of the REM state. It is, at its heart, a profound confrontation with the nature of self, reality, and awareness. To become lucid in a dream is to turn inward with eyes wide open. It is to gaze upon the infinite ocean of mind and see not chaos, but an intelligible cosmos unfolding behind the curtain of logic. Throughout history, cultures have spoken of dreams as messages from the divine, visitations from spirits, windows into other lives. The Aboriginal peoples of Australia speak of the dream time, the timeless, mythic past that still permeates the present. The Sufis considered dreams a form of inner travel. In Tibetan Buddhism, dream yoga is not metaphor but practice, a method for dissolving illusion and cultivating wakefulness within all states of being. We, the modern inheritors of a fragmented metaphysics, often reduce dreams to random firings of neurons or vestiges of daily stress. But if you've ever stood in a lucid dream, feet planted on a forest that doesn't exist, looking at a sun that was never born, you know, it feels real. Sometimes more real than waking life. The colors are richer, the emotions are unfiltered, the laws of reality bend like steam, and you're left wondering not how the dream began, but whether you ever left it. The French philosopher René Descartes once asked how we could be sure we weren't always dreaming. What if life itself was a kind of sustained hallucination? What proof do we have that waking reality is more authentic than the dream? We take for granted the solidity of the waking world, but in dreams, we accept flying without wings, speaking with the dead, reliving memories, or witnessing impossible scenes without hesitation. We only question it once lucidity sparks. That flicker of awareness is everything, separates us from the illusion. But here's the paradox. The dream doesn't vanish when we become lucid. It becomes more vivid, as if by seeing clearly we grant the illusion greater clarity. This strange reversal hints at a deeper mystery, one that ties lucid dreaming not just to sleep, but to consciousness itself. What is awareness, if not the ability to notice that we are here, now, perceiving? In waking life, we often sleepwalk through our days, lulled by repetition and habit. But in a dream, lucidity strikes like lightning. It reminds us that awareness is not guaranteed. It is earned. It is remembered. And when it returns, it is illuminating. Lucid dreaming is not about control. That is a misconception. True lucidity is not the fantasy of omnipotence. It is the revelation of presence. The moment you look around and realize this is a dream, you are witnessing your own mind in real time. You are in communion with yourself on a level that the waking ego rarely dares to descend to. And yet, this isn't solipsism. Many lucid dreamers report encounters with characters who feel other, intelligence that seems autonomous, realms with architecture and history far beyond their waking imagination. Whether these phenomena are unconscious archetypes, buried memories, or glimpses into some deeper stratum of reality remains an open question, a question we must hold gently. This is the purpose of the journey we now begin. Over the next several hours, we will dive deep into the phenomenon of lucid dreaming, not merely as a biological glitch, but as a sacred art. We will explore the science of sleep, the psychology of self-awareness, and the ancient traditions that saw dreams as more than entertainment. We will ask questions that may not have answers. We will walk the borderlands between mind and mystery. This episode is not a tutorial. It is not a guidebook. It is an invitation. An invitation to remember that there is a place you visit every night. A place that is both utterly yours and utterly unknown. A place where the rules dissolve and what remains is you, bare, aware, and awake in the heart of the unreal. As we begin this descent into the architecture of the dreaming mind, I ask you to suspend disbelief, to loosen your grip on the rigid contours of waking life. This is not an escape from reality. It is an exploration of its other face. For if we are to understand consciousness, we must follow it wherever it leads, even into the hidden cathedrals of sleep. So breathe, close your eyes if you like. Imagine the threshold. Imagine a door, one you've passed through 1,000 times but never noticed. On the other side, clouds that bloom like thought, cities made of memory, oceans of light, faces half remembered from lifetimes ago. On the other side, you, the dreamer, the watcher behind the eyes, and the dream unfolding, waiting eternally for you to awaken inside it. The dream does not appear out of nowhere. It rises quietly from the deep structures of biology, like fog rising from a moonlit lake. To enter the dream world, the mind must first submit to sleep, a surrender both physical and metaphysical. The journey into the dream begins always with descent. But sleep, like the mind itself, is not one thing. It is a layered phenomenon, a cycle, a rhythm etched into the core of every creature that has ever closed its eyes. It is not merely the absence of waking. It is a state with its own architecture, a cathedral built in darkness, with arches of chemistry and windows of electrical fire. Let us enter that cathedral now. Sleep is not a single monolithic state, but a complex cycle that repeats itself 4 to 6 times each night, each cycle lasting approximately 90 to 120 minutes. Within these cycles, we traverse distinct stages of consciousness, oscillating between deep oblivion and active dreaming. The first phase is stage 1 NREM, non-rapid eye movement, a liminal state, a borderland. Here, the mind drifts from wakefulness, muscle tone slackens, alpha waves give way to slower theta rhythms. You may feel yourself slipping, floating, falling. Sudden jerks of the body, called hypnic jerks, may startle you awake. These are the first echoes of surrender. Next comes stage 2, a deeper form of light sleep. The brain begins producing sleep spindles, brief bursts of rapid neural activity, and K-complexes, single high-voltage waves that act like mental guardians, shielding the sleeping brain from external noise. At this stage, awareness fades, the body cools, the external world dissolves. Then comes stage 3, also known as slow-wave sleep or deep sleep. This is the kingdom of delta waves, low-frequency, high-amplitude pulses that sweep through the cortex like ocean tides. Here, consciousness as we know it disappears. It is a kind of non-being, a suspension of narrative. Dreaming here, if it occurs, is more abstract, more fragmented. This stage is vital for the body's recovery, tissue repair, immune function, and memory consolidation. The body is paralyzed, the mind is submerged, but something stirs as the cycle completes. Just when the mind seems most silent, a flicker appears. The eyes, though closed, begin to dart beneath their lids. Heart rate quickens, brain activity surges, blood pressure rises. The cortex lights up like a city at night. You have entered REM sleep, rapid eye movement, the stage where most vivid dreams unfold. This is where the dream world builds itself. REM, sleep is paradoxical. The brain appears awake while the body is locked in near-complete paralysis, a condition known as rematonia. This disconnection prevents us from acting out our dreams, protecting both us and those around us. In REM, the prefrontal cortex, responsible for logic and executive function, goes quiet, while emotional and visual areas light up with activity. The amygdala, the center of fear and emotion, pulses strongly. The occipital lobes, which govern vision, become active even though no light is reaching the eyes. This is the mind, dreaming itself. It is no accident that most lucid dreams occur during REM sleep. In rare moments, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, responsible for meta-awareness and working memory, flickers back online. A strange duality is born. The dream continues, but now the observer returns. You realize, I am dreaming. This cognitive dissonance, this paradox of being conscious within unconsciousness, is the signature of the lucid dreamer. It is like lighting a candle inside the night itself. To understand dreams, one must understand the brain's biochemistry. Sleep is choreographed by a symphony of neurochemicals and hormones, each with its own instrument, its own cue. The sleep-wake cycle is governed by circadian rhythms, the body's internal 24-hour clock. This rhythm is regulated by the suprachiasmatic nucleus in the hypothalamus, which responds to light and dark. As evening approaches, the pineal gland begins to secrete melatonin, a hormone that signals it is time to sleep. Melatonin does not induce sleep directly, but it opens the gate. Other chemicals take the stage once sleep begins. During REM, the neurotransmitter acetylcholine becomes highly active, stimulating cortical regions and supporting vivid mental imagery. In contrast, norepinephrine and serotonin, which dominate waking consciousness, drop dramatically. This shift may explain the dream's non-linear, emotional, and symbolic nature. Lucid dreamers have discovered that manipulating these chemicals can influence the dream state. Supplements like galantamine and choline increase acetylcholine availability, enhancing the likelihood of lucidity. Others, like vitamin B6, may affect dream vividness or recall. But these are tools, not guarantees. The deeper mechanism lies not in the pill, but in attention, awareness directed inward, like a torch inside a cave. Why do we sleep? Why do we dream? Science has answers, partial, evolving, but compelling. Sleep is essential for survival. It supports memory consolidation, immune function, emotional regulation, and metabolic balance. Dreams, within this model, are often framed as a byproduct, a psychological epiphenomenon. Some researchers, like Alan Hobson, propose the activation synthesis theory. The brainstem sends random signals during REM, which the cortex then attempts to organize into a coherent narrative. But others argue for more intentional dreaming. The threat simulation theory suggests that dreams evolved to rehearse dangerous scenarios. From an evolutionary standpoint, it is useful to face your fears in a safe, virtual environment. Still, others believe dreams are vital for problem-solving, creativity, and emotional processing. And then, there is the symbolic view. The psychoanalytic tradition, from Freud to Jung, saw dreams not as random noise but as messages. Freud believed dreams expressed repressed desires. Jung believed they revealed archetypes, the symbolic language of the collective unconscious. In this view, dreams are not nonsense, but mythic logic. They speak in metaphor because the unconscious mind does not speak in grammar or syntax. It speaks in image, in mood, in story. To become lucid in such a landscape is to become literate in your own mythos. The architecture of sleep is also a mirror of consciousness itself. Just as we drift through stages of sleep, we drift through states of awareness in daily life. We are alert, we daydream, we dissociate, we become absorbed. The mind is fluid. Awareness is not binary, it is a gradient. Sleep offers a unique vantage point. It allows us to watch the mind from a distance. Each night, we rehearse our own death, withdrawal from the world, a fall into darkness, visions that come unbidden, and each morning we are reborn, memory intact or fragmented. The ritual repeats. Sleep is both an end and a renewal, a ritual of forgetting and sometimes of remembering. In lucid dreaming, we are granted an unusual gift, the chance to remember while forgetting, to awaken within the forgetting. This is not just a curiosity, it is a metaphor for spiritual practice, for mindfulness, for the path toward enlightenment. To become lucid in life, as in dream, is the work of the awakened being. When architecture of sleep is disturbed, the results are unsettling, sometimes terrifying. Consider sleep paralysis, a state where the body remains paralyzed during REM, but the mind wakes prematurely. Sufferers report an inability to move, a sense of suffocation, and the presence of shadowy figures. These experiences have inspired countless myths of demons, witches, and alien abductions. Then there are night terrors, often occurring in non-REM sleep, where the dreamer screams or thrashes without full awakening or later memory. Narcolepsy, the inability to regulate sleep-wake cycles, can lead to sudden REM onset during the day, causing vivid hallucinations. REM behavior disorder involves acting out dreams due to failed muscle atonia, sometimes violently. These disorders reveal the fragility of the sleep-dream system. They show how tightly the mind and body are interwoven, and how thin the veil truly is. We began with the image of a cathedral. Now we return. The architecture of sleep is not only chemical and electrical, it is symbolic. The stages of sleep resemble stages of initiation. The departure from waking life, the descent into darkness, the confrontation with shadow, and the return with new insight. Every night we enter this labyrinth. Most of us forget, but the lucid dreamer leaves breadcrumbs. They mark the walls. They carry the memory back. To know this architecture is to prepare for the journey ahead. The lucid dream is not random. It is shaped by these walls. The mind builds its world within the boundaries of REM, within the chemistry of neurotransmitters, within the circuitry of a living brain. But within those boundaries, the infinite unfolds. As we step deeper into this series, we will explore that infinite, not as tourists, but as travelers, not as scientists alone, but as philosophers of the inner world. The dream awaits. There comes a moment, often unannounced, when the dream changes. It may be subtle at first, a glint of impossibility, a clock melting, a city where your childhood home should be, a long-lost friend speaking in riddles. Something doesn't add up. The architecture wavers. A thought flickers across the dreamer's mind. This isn't real. And then, in a cascade of recognition, the illusion folds in on itself. The colors intensify. The air thickens with meaning. The dream does not collapse. It crystallizes. The dreamer remains in the dream, but something inside has changed. The witness has awakened. This is lucidity, the state of becoming aware within the dream, and it is one of the most mysterious thresholds the human mind can cross. Lucid dreaming is not a new discovery. Though science has only begun mapping its terrain in recent decades, the phenomenon itself is ancient. In the Upanishads, Hindu mystics spoke of turiya, a fourth state of consciousness beyond waking, dreaming, and deep sleep, a state of pure witnessing. The Tibetan tradition of dream yoga trained monks to awaken within the dream as part of their path toward enlightenment. In the West, it wasn't until 1913 that Dutch psychiatrist Frederik van Eden coined the term lucid dream. He distinguished it from ordinary dreaming by one key element: the dreamer knows they are dreaming. But what exactly is this awareness? It's not quite the same as waking consciousness. It's more fluid, more intuitive. The laws of physics bend, but the mind sharpens. Time becomes elastic. Identity loosens its boundaries. In some lucid dreams, you retain full self-awareness. You remember who you are, where you fell asleep, what day it is. In others, you're aware it's a dream, but your sense of self is mythic, symbolic, archetypal. This state defies binary definitions. It is not dreaming versus waking, but a strange overlap, a superposition of mind states, like quantum particles that can exist in multiple places at once. The lucid dreamer occupies both illusion and awareness. Most people experience at least one lucid dream in their lifetime, often spontaneously. But what triggers it? Sometimes it's anomaly detection. You notice something that defies logic, a third hand, a floating object, a sudden change of scene. The analytical mind reactivates. You begin to question. Sometimes it's habitual reflection. Dreamers who regularly ask themselves, "Am I dreaming right now?" during waking life may carry this question into sleep, where it suddenly ignites. And sometimes, lucidity arrives through sheer intuition. You feel it before you know it. A whisper inside says, "This is not the world you think it is." Whatever the route, the moment of recognition is electric. Some dreamers describe it as an existential thrill, a bolt of freedom. Others feel awe, reverence, even fear. The laws that governed your world a second ago are revealed as arbitrary. You are now standing in a universe woven entirely from your mind. The rules are yours to rewrite. But lucidity is fragile. Get too excited, and the dream dissolves. Try to control too much too quickly, and you're flung back into waking life. Lucidity must be nurtured. Like fire, it requires fuel and balance. Too little, and it dies. Too much, and it burns the house down. There is a myth, especially in modern discussions of lucid dreaming, that lucidity equals control. The idea is intoxicating. Imagine flying, conjuring any fantasy, rewriting the laws of nature with a thought. And indeed, such feats are possible. Seasoned lucid dreamers report everything from shape-shifting to time travel to direct conversations with dream figures that seem to possess independent intelligence. But the deeper you go, the more you realize lucid dreaming is not about domination. It is about dialogue. You do not control the dream like a god pulling levers. You co-create it with parts of yourself that remain mysterious. The dream environment often pushes back. Characters resist your commands. Landscapes change without permission. You begin to suspect something else is in here with me. This is the deeper paradox. You are the dreamer, and yet the dream surprises you. What is that part of you that builds the dream? Is it the unconscious, a higher self, a buried archetype? The dream doesn't say. It only invites you to keep looking. Lucidity, at its best, is not a power fantasy. It is a practice of humility, learning to see with both wonder and discernment. You are no longer a passive spectator, nor are you an omnipotent tyrant. You are a pilgrim in a symbolic landscape, learning its grammar as you walk. Lucid dreaming can be cultivated. It is not random. Like meditation, it is a skill, a capacity of consciousness that can be trained and refined. There are several primary methods. Reality checks. This involves making a habit of asking, "Am I dreaming?" multiple times throughout your waking day. You pair the question with a test, pinching your nose and trying to breathe through it, flipping a light switch, reading text twice to see if it changes. The goal is to make this question so automatic that it appears in the dream. Dream journaling. Recording your dreams every morning strengthens dream recall and trains your mind to notice patterns, specific people, places, or themes that reappear. These can become cues for lucidity. Over time, you begin to remember your dreams more vividly and carry awareness into them. Mnemonic induction of lucid dreams. This technique involves waking briefly during the night, recalling a recent dream, and repeating a phrase like, "Next time I'm dreaming, I'll remember I'm dreaming." You visualize becoming lucid. This primes your mind to spark awareness during future dreams. Wake back to bed. You set an alarm 4-6 hours after falling asleep. Wake for 20-30 minutes, then return to sleep. This increases the chance of entering REM with a more alert mind, making lucidity more likely. Wake-initiated lucid dream. This advanced method involves maintaining awareness while the body falls asleep. You lie still, allowing sleep paralysis to set in while keeping your mind focused, eventually transitioning directly into a lucid dream from waking consciousness. These techniques are not rituals of superstition. They are tools of consciousness hacking, methods for piercing the veil. But remember, the goal is not to force the dream, but to listen to it, to hold awareness gently, like a candle in the dark. Lucid dreams often feature encounters with people, beings, or presences that seem to exist outside of your conscious self. Some are familiar, friends, family, strangers from waking life. Others are strange, animal guides, luminous figures, ancient voices. These encounters raise questions that science struggles to answer. Are these figments of memory, psychological projections, or do lucid dreams allow access to something more, an inner collective, or even interdimensional communication? Carl Jung believed dream characters reflected aspects of the psyche, what he called the shadow, the anima, animus, and the self. Tibetan Buddhists believed that dream figures could teach the dreamer, offering insight or challenge. Many lucid dreamers report being taught techniques or truths by entities within the dream, lessons they did not consciously know. Whether these beings are psychological parts of yourself or something beyond the self is not a question with a clean answer. The dream speaks symbols, not facts, but the impact of these encounters can be profound, transformational even. They often lead the dreamer toward introspection, healing, or creative breakthroughs. Lucidity opens the door not just to freedom, but to meeting the unknown within. Lucid dreaming is not without risk. Like any powerful tool, it can be misused or misunderstood. Some dreamers become obsessed, losing sleep chasing lucidity. Others try to control every aspect of their dreams and experience mental fatigue or false awakenings, dreams within dreams that erode the boundary between sleeping and waking. There are reports of dreamers confronting existential terror, the fear that if reality can be questioned in dreams, it can be questioned in waking life too. Some even develop derealization, a dissociative state where the waking world feels less real. These are rare outcomes, but they speak to the power of the practice. Lucid dreaming is not a toy, it is a doorway, and not every door leads to comfort. Approached with reverence and curiosity, however, lucidity becomes a teacher. It expands the range of conscious experience. It reminds us that awareness is not static. It is a flowing spectrum that includes waking, dreaming, imagining, remembering, and creating. In the lucid dream, you're shown a possibility, that awareness is deeper than identity, that reality is stranger than fiction, that mind can be both sculptor and sculpture. Lucidity is not the final destination, it is a threshold. Beyond it lies dream yoga, out-of-body experiences, visionary states, altered consciousness. But even here, at the beginning, the implications are vast. If you can wake up inside a dream, what else might you wake up from? Your thoughts? Your beliefs? Your very self? The lucid dream is a rehearsal for a deeper kind of awakening, the one that occurs not in REM, but in life. The moment you stop accepting the script and begin writing your own. The moment you look around, question the nature of the world and say, "Wait, what is this?" The dream smiles back. The dream does not speak in sentences. It speaks in oceans, in locked doors and rising moons, in old friends with new faces, in cities that breathe and clocks that melt. It whispers not to the rational mind, but to something older, a deeper intelligence beneath words. This is the language of symbol, and the dream is fluent. Long before alphabets or grammar, humans communicated through images. Cave paintings of stags and hands, totemic animals carved into stone, stories woven into firelight. These were not just pictures, they were maps of meaning. Dreams speak this same ancient dialect, not with logic, but with resonance. To understand the dream is not to decode it like a puzzle. It is to listen, to feel its rhythm, to notice its metaphors, to ask, not what does this mean, but why did it feel like that? Lucid dreaming opens the door to this symbolic world with clarity. You are no longer lost in the dream. You are in dialogue with it. You can ask questions. You can explore. You can meet the symbol face to face. But to navigate this terrain, we must learn to read its grammar. In waking life, words point to meaning. In dreams, images are meaning. A collapsing bridge is not just infrastructure, it's a feeling of instability. A tiger in the hallway is not just danger, it's a confrontation with power. A child at your doorstep is not just memory, it's the return of vulnerability, or perhaps innocence. The dream doesn't care about factual accuracy. It bends time, warps identity, splices moments together like a surreal film. It cares about truth through resonance. It asks, what image can express this emotion better than any sentence ever could? This is why dreams feel so true, even when they are impossible. You wake with your heart pounding, not because the logic made sense, but because the experience spoke to something real inside you. Dreams are emotional cartographies. They bypass the verbal mind and draw directly onto the felt body. In a lucid state, this becomes even more profound. You don't just observe the image, you inhabit it. You become the falling, the transformation, the fire. Interpretation is not abstraction, it is immersion. There is a difference between a sign and a symbol. A sign points to one specific meaning. A red octagon means stop. A skull on a bottle means poison. A symbol, on the other hand, is layered. It doesn't just point, it invites. It contains multitudes, shifting based on context, culture, emotion, and the dreamer's inner world. A snake may mean danger, wisdom, transformation, or temptation. The meaning is not fixed, it emerges through relationship. In this way, the dream is not a code to crack, but a mirror. It reflects who you are at the moment of dreaming. The same symbol might carry different meanings on different nights, or for different people. Jung called these symbols archetypes, universal patterns rooted in the collective unconscious. The hero, the shadow, the wise old man, the trickster. These are not characters in a story, they are modes of being that live inside each of us. When we meet them in dreams, we are not just watching, they are showing us who we are becoming, resisting, or forgetting. Lucidity allows us to interact with these symbols, to ask the shadow why it chases us, to follow the fox through the forest, to walk into the fire and see what lies beyond. In doing so, we participate in our own mythology. Imagine the dream as a stage. You are the playwright, the set designer, the lighting technician, and the audience. And yet, somehow, the play still surprises you. This is the paradox of dreaming. You are the source of everything, and yet it feels as though the symbols come from somewhere other. In lucid dreams, this theatrical quality becomes overt. You may realize the dreamscape is constructed, the characters are masks, but instead of breaking the illusion, this awareness adds depth. You can now explore why the scene was set this way, why this character, why this dialogue. Ask the dream, why are you showing me this? Sometimes the response is direct. The character might speak, the environment might shift, a hidden door might appear. Other times, the answer is silent, but you feel it in your chest like a chord struck in resonance. This is the dream's way. It teaches not through explanation, but through experience. In lucid dreaming, you're both actor and analyst. You watch the play from within. Not all symbols are universal. Some are intensely personal, idiosyncratic glyphs etched into the dreamer's memory. You may dream of a piano, not because of its cultural meaning, but because your grandmother played one. You may see a flood because you once drowned. These are private symbols, charged with memory and emotion. But there are also dreams that echo through time, Forests, serpents, labyrinths, towers. These are archetypal structures appearing across cultures and histories. They emerge when the psyche touches something collective, something transpersonal. In lucid dreams, both kinds of symbol appear, often woven together. A forest may carry your personal fear of getting lost, but also evoke the archetype of the unknown or the dark feminine. Learning to distinguish the two is part of the dreamer's art, not to separate them, but to see how they speak to one another. The personal and the universal are not opposites, they are reflections. One of the most powerful opportunities in lucid dreaming is the ability to ask. You are not a spectator. You can engage. You can walk up to the cloaked figure and ask, "Who are you?" You can stand in the middle of the crumbling city and shout, "What does this mean?" You can even ask the dream itself, "What do you want to show me?" The answers may not come in words. They may come in movement, transformation, silence, or feeling. But often, the dream responds. This kind of dream dialogue can lead to insights that feel sourced from somewhere beyond your conscious mind. Not alien, but deeper, like listening to a voice you forgot you had. Jung believed that the unconscious was not just a dumping ground of repressed material, but a living system of intelligence, a partner in your evolution. When you dream lucidly, you are not escaping reality. You are conversing with the psyche. Ask, listen, respond. The dream will answer. Not all dreams are beautiful. Some are terrifying. Nightmares are often misunderstood. They are not punishments. They are urgent messages. Symbols so powerful, they bypass resistance through fear. The chase, the fall, the scream that won't sound. These are not random. They are metaphors for something you are avoiding, denying, or suppressing. The nightmare comes not to haunt you, but to awaken you. In lucid dreaming, you gain the rare ability to turn and face the monster. Instead of running, you can ask it, "What are you?" Often, the figure will change, shrink, dissolve, transform into a teacher. Facing the nightmare is an act of inner alchemy. You do not kill the dragon, you integrate it. Nightmares are not barriers to lucidity. They are gateways. Symbols do more than reveal. They transform. In lucid dreams, symbolic interaction can have real-world effects. Artists report breakthroughs. Musicians hear new melodies. Writers find archetypes for their stories. These symbols are not invented, they are discovered. The dream mind creates not from logic, but from resonance. It pulls images from the vast subconscious, weaves them with memory and metaphor, and births something new. Lucid dreamers also report deep emotional healing, speaking to a lost loved one, re-experiencing trauma in a safe symbolic form, receiving forgiveness from a figure you thought unreachable. These are not illusions, they are rituals of the psyche, and like all true rituals, their power lies in meaning. Lucid dreaming is not fantasy, it is psychic surgery. How then do we become fluent in the symbolic language of dreams? We don't memorize a dictionary, we cultivate awareness, keep a dream journal, not just for plot, but for feeling. Ask, what stood out? What image lingered? What felt impossible but true? Meditate on dream symbols, draw them, speak to them, return to them in lucid dreams. The more attention you give, the more they open. Over time, you begin to sense a symbolic intuition, like tasting the essence of a metaphor without needing to translate. This is not about figuring out your dreams. It's about entering relationship with them, letting them teach you how they speak. Lucid dreaming is the classroom, symbol is the language, and you are both student and poet. In the next chapter, we will cross a deeper threshold, beyond dream interpretation, beyond the lucid experience, into the strange realm of out-of-body experiences and astral states. But remember this, the dream is not just a story your mind tells itself. It is a mirror made of myth held up to the soul. And when you become lucid within it, you are not escaping the world. You are returning to its source. The lucid dreamer discovers agency within the dream. But the astral explorer confronts something stranger, the sensation of being outside the body. This experience is reported across cultures, eras, and belief systems. It goes by many names: out-of-body experience, astral projection, soul travel, double consciousness. Some feel themselves lifted, others pushed, some simply pop out. A sudden realization: I am not my body. Unlike dreams, these experiences often begin in your bedroom, in a seemingly real version of your waking environment. You're not dreaming of Paris or childhood. You're floating a few feet above your mattress, staring at your own sleeping form. You try to move, your arms don't respond, but your thoughts do. You glide. You drift through doors, float through ceilings, or are pulled toward light or into darkness. The sense of realness can be overwhelming, and yet, when you return, the body feels like a weighted suit. Modern neuroscience attributes OBEs to disturbances in the temporoparietal junction, a region linked to self-location and body image integration. In lab conditions, OBEs have been artificially induced using VR tricks, magnetic stimulation, and psychedelics like ketamine. But here's the strange thing. Those induced OBEs feel partial, as if they echo the real phenomenon, but don't quite match the clarity reported by natural projectors. It's like the difference between simulating the taste of rainwater and standing under a thunderstorm. Some scientists suggest it's a hallucination. Others ask, if it's all just in your head, why does it feel like it's not? In dream logic, we don't ask whether something is real. We ask, what does this mean? And more importantly, who is the one perceiving? Many who consciously enter OBEs describe a transitional moment, a liminal gate. It may involve buzzing or vibration in the body, high-pitched tones in the ears, a feeling of paralysis while the mind stays awake, a pulling sensation, often upward or backward. This state, half asleep, half awake, is often reached in the early morning hours, when REM cycles are most active and the waking ego is softened. At this threshold, intention becomes everything. The body sleeps, the mind drifts, and somewhere in between, you let go. Some projectors use visualization techniques, imagining a rope hanging above and mentally climbing it. Others spin, roll, or fall out of their sleep shell. What matters is not the method, but the release. You must let the body go. You must trust that awareness will continue without it. Once out, what lies beyond? Some describe a near duplicate of the physical world, known as the etheric plane, where things look eerily similar, but off in subtle ways. Clocks spin wrong, colors pulse, the atmosphere is thicker. Others traverse surreal, symbolic, or mythic landscapes, floating cities, crystalline halls, endless deserts, or sentient architecture. The further one ventures, the less coherent place becomes. Time bends or collapses. Language becomes thought. Entities may appear, guides, watchers, even shadows. In esoteric traditions, these realms are layered. Etheric closest to the physical, lower astral emotional residue, chaos, dream detritus, middle astral lucid structures, guides, memory archives, higher astral mental planes, light, archetypes, silence. But these maps are metaphors. The astral is not somewhere else, it is a mirror. What you carry within shapes what you experience. OBEs often include beings. But what are they? Projections of your psyche? Other dreamers? Entities native to the astral plane? Some feel like guides, calm, benevolent, wordless. Others are cryptic, testing, or symbolic. And some simply observe. In occult lore, entities in the astral respond to vibration, your frequency, mood, or level of fear. Low vibration, fear, confusion, ego, draws chaos. High vibration, clarity, surrender, curiosity, invites coherence. Many experiences begin fearfully, but evolve. Once fear is released, so are the darker elements. The astral world is reactive, not fixed. It is the outer theatre of your inner state. Coming back is rarely dramatic. You might snap back, pulled by a loud noise or body sensation, or you drift back gently, like a leaf returning to the surface. But the return is always marked by a subtle shock. How was I just there? Most OBEs leave a deep imprint, more vivid than dreams, more coherent than hallucinations. You may wake with the sense that something changed, that something was shown. Not everyone finds cosmic truths, but almost all return with one shared realization. I am more than this body. That idea alone, if felt deeply, can reshape a life. Let us be honest, the astral is controversial. To the rational mind, it seems absurd. Floating from one's body, meeting beings, visiting other planes. But to the mystic, the question is not, is this real? It is, what part of me believes it isn't? Caution is also needed. Just as in dreams, intention matters. Do not seek escape, seek expansion. Do not chase fear, face it or let it pass. Anchor yourself, return when called. The mind is vast, but it is not infinite. To explore its edges is to also meet your limits. And still, those limits may be more permeable than we thought. What if the OBE is not just a phenomenon, but a rite of passage? It's a rehearsal for death, a training in disidentification, a glimpse at what the self might be when stripped of body and biography. Many ancient traditions, from the Egyptian Book of the Dead to Tibetan dream yoga, treated the ability to leave the body as a skill for navigating the afterlife. In this view, OBEs aren't anomalies. They are reminders that you are not the body, you are not the voice, you are not even the dream. You are the awareness that moves through it all. You dream. But who designs the architecture? Who casts the characters? Who writes the script? Is it you? And if so, which you? Dreams don't feel like authored creations. They arrive as spontaneous events. A story unfolds. A world generates itself. A drama plays out, and you are both spectator and participant. But the moment you become lucid, aware that you're dreaming, you notice something strange. You're inside a world that somehow knows you better than you know yourself. This leads us to the mystery of the dream architect, that hidden force, intelligence, or mechanism that assembles dream realities from fragments of memory, emotion, fear, and desire. It is you, and not you. It is the mind unmasked. Psychology offers a partial answer. According to Freud, dreams are expressions of the unconscious, disguised wish fulfillments. Jung expanded this view. Dreams are communications from the self, not the ego, but the deeper totality of the psyche. In Jungian terms, you could say the dream architect is the unconscious mind itself. But this is still too vague. What exactly is being constructed, and why? Imagine your mind as a layered stage. The ego, the I you identify with, often unaware of the dream's origin. The shadow, suppressed parts of you, repressed traits, fears, desires that populate the cast. The anima animus, inner representations of your contrasexual psyche, often guides or lovers. The self, the organizing principle, the director behind the curtain. In a dream, all these roles might appear as characters, settings, or plot arcs, but the deeper truth is this. Every figure you meet is a part of you. Every room you enter is a chamber of your mind. Every event is a metaphor trying to speak. So who writes the dream? The parts of you you've never met. Unlike waking thought, dreams don't speak in words. They speak in symbol, emotion, and juxtaposition. This is what we call dream logic. A door becomes a waterfall. Your best friend is also your grandmother. You remember something that never happened. To the conscious mind, this feels irrational, but to the architect, this is perfectly natural. Its language is compressed meaning, images that collapse emotion, memory, and metaphor into a single flash. A bird flying through a house isn't just a bird. It might be a symbol of longing for freedom, a memory from childhood, a visitation from the higher self, or all three, layered as one. This logic resists reduction. To understand it, we must learn to think like a dream, fluid, non-linear, symbolic, and emotional. Dreams are never static. The architect is constantly improvising. Like jazz, dreams mutate with each emotional beat. If you become lucid and change your intention, the dream often reshapes instantly. Ask for a door to appear, and it does. Think of flying, and the world curves upward. This responsiveness hints at something deeper. The architect does not build fixed structures. It builds mirrors, and whatever you expect, fear, or focus on becomes the next scene. Thus, the dream world is not passive. It's a responsive medium, shaped in real time by your inner state. This makes the dreamer both author and audience. You generate the world by perceiving it. The architect builds what you're ready to see. Sometimes, dreamers meet a figure that seems different, not symbolic, not from memory, something other. This being might appear as a glowing teacher, a geometric entity, a voice that speaks from the air, or even you, but wiser. Some lucid dreamers report asking questions like, "What is this place? Who are you? Am I dreaming?" And sometimes these figures respond, calmly, cryptically, or even playfully. Who or what are they? An aspect of your higher self, a deep structure of the unconscious, a trick of the mind, or perhaps the architect itself, peeking through the veil. Regardless of interpretation, these moments feel different. They carry weight. They leave the dreamer changed. Because to meet the architect is to meet the intelligence behind your own mystery. The dream is not one place, it is many, but they share a hidden geometry, fractal intelligence. You walk through a dream forest, and the branches seem to curl toward a golden ratio. You enter a hallway, and it leads to another hallway, then another. You look in a mirror, and the reflection shows an entire universe. Dreams seem to fold space, embed worlds within worlds, and structure themselves like recursive thoughts. This is not chaos, it is organic intelligence. The architect doesn't build from blueprints, it builds from resonance. Patterns arise from your psyche like spirals in nature, unexpected but not random. The more lucid you become, the more elegant the design. Here's the great mystery. If dreams respond to our awareness, does the architect adapt to us? Can we form a relationship with it? Lucid dreaming suggests we can. Over time, dreamers report greater control over dream settings, more coherent and symbolic themes, deeper emotional resonance, encounters that feel guided or collaborative. In this sense, the dream becomes a collaborative art form, a canvas shared between ego and unconscious, between the dreamer and the architect. You don't control the dream, but you can dance with it. The question lingers, if the dream has an architect, does waking life? Some mystics say yes, that waking life is a dream of a higher order, that behind what we call reality stands a greater intelligence or deeper self, shaping experience through unseen threads. If the dream is made of mind, is the world also? If so, the architect does not disappear at dawn. It simply wears a different mask, a synchronistic event, a poetic phrase overheard, a coincidence too strange to ignore. These two may be authored, not by an external god, but by the same deep psyche that writes your dreams. And if that is true, then the boundary between dreaming and waking was never as clear as we thought. Optional closing poetic segment. You wake up in a world of rules and names, but echoes of the dream remain. A symbol on a billboard, a face you swear you've seen before. The architect is still with you, building, watching, waiting for you to notice. After all, you are still dreaming, only now you call it waking. waking life, we obey the laws of Newton, of Einstein, of space and time, of gravity. These laws are consistent, reliable, and measurable. They are the bedrock of what we call objective reality. But what governs the physics of a dream? Astonishingly, the dream world has laws, but they are not fixed. They are emergent, responsive, symbolic. They echo the structure of thought, of metaphor, of subconscious desire. Consider the feeling of running through molasses, of jumping and floating, of doors that loop back to where you began. These are not glitches. They are part of a deeper logic, a subjective logic that adheres not to mass and velocity, but to meaning and mood. In dreams, the laws of physics bend to the laws of the psyche. The dream world is governed by meaning, not matter. Its laws are not impersonal. They are intimate. One of the most common distortions in dreams is gravity. People float, fly, fall slowly, or leap over buildings. This is not random. Gravity in dreams often reflects our emotional weight or lack thereof. Flying may suggest freedom, transcendence, or a desire to escape from pressure. Falling often points to fear, anxiety, or a sensation of losing control. Moving slowly might reflect indecision, emotional resistance, or being trapped in doubt. Dream physics reacts to state of mind. Sometimes, these gravitational shifts occur during moments of tension or clarity. Flying dreams often coincide with a sense of power or realization. Falling may mirror waking fears. These distortions are personalized diagnostics of your inner balance. In dreams, time is a fluid substance. Events unfold out of sequence. Past and future collide. You may be a child in one moment, an old version of yourself the next. Entire lifetimes can pass in minutes, or minutes can stretch into eternity. Chronology collapses. Time in dreams obeys narrative tension, not mechanical sequence. Dreams rearrange memory like a novelist edits chapters. You experience time based on emotional urgency, not objective order. Moments are stitched together based on emotional logic, not linear causality. Scenes can skip, loop, repeat, or echo themselves with surreal consistency. This reflects a deeper truth. The unconscious mind does not experience time the way the waking mind does. It organizes reality by meaning, not by clocks. Dream geography doesn't hold to Euclidean principles. Space does not behave like a neutral container. It bends and reshapes itself with your attention. Rooms connect to forests. Elevators open into outer space. Streets rearrange themselves behind your back. The architecture of dream space reflects mental and emotional states. A small dark room may symbolize repression, shame, or fear. A vast luminous hallway may represent revelation, openness, or transcendence. Dream environments often shift depending on your inner focus. A glance away can dissolve one world and invoke another. The moment you realize you're dreaming, the scene can change entirely. Like quantum probability collapsing into form, space, in dreams, is not external. It is constructed from within. It maps thought rather than territory. Dreams have an uncanny way of shifting who you are. You might switch roles, ages, bodies, or even species without warning or confusion. You might be observing yourself from outside. You may change gender, age, or species mid-dream. You may embody multiple characters at once. This is not just surrealism, it is a feature of dream physics. The dream ego is not fixed. It is fluid, multiplicitous, and often contradictory. Identity is elastic in dreams because the self is not a constant. It is a point of view. The architecture of identity bends in the same way as time or space, around emotion, memory, symbol. This fluidity suggests that even our waking sense of self might be more constructed, more dreamlike than we typically admit. This raises a profound philosophical point. If your identity can shift this easily in dreams, what anchors it in waking life? Cause and effect work differently in dreams. A scream can crack the sky. A thought can summon a door. A question can stop time. In dream physics, cause follows significance. If something is meaningful, it becomes causally powerful. Events unfold not because of mechanical triggers, but because of symbolic necessity. This reverses the waking world logic. Where causes create outcomes, dreams often let emotional necessity produce the cause itself. A confrontation may appear only once the dreamer is ready to face it. A door may unlock only when forgiveness is felt. The dream world is reactive to the soul, not the senses. It is a stage set for psychological drama. Children often report chaotic, unstable dreams. Over time, dreamers begin to experience recurring rules. Flying works a certain way. Certain places reappear. Some actions lead to predictable consequences. This suggests we learn the physics of our dreams through repeated experience. And these learned rules become a kind of internal simulation engine. The subconscious constructs an operable world, iterated through countless nights. Lucid dreamers report refining this engine, learning how to fly better, how to stabilize environments, how to manipulate objects or time. With practice, the dreamer becomes both subject and coder. This is not imagination. It is an apprenticeship to the inner laws. Dream rules can solidify through repetition. Recurring symbols gain gravity. Recurring actions gain consistency. A sense of dream muscle memory develops. The moment you become lucid, the rules change. Gravity becomes voluntary. Space stabilizes. Objects respond to thought. Lucidity alters dream physics, not because the world changes, but because your level of awareness increases. Awareness, it seems, is a governing force in the physics of dreams. The more conscious you are within the dream, the more influence you can exert over its form. The deeper your presence, the more coherent and responsive the world becomes. Clarity crystallizes causality. Intention reorganizes space. Lucid dreams reveal that the dream world is not fixed. It is co-authored. You are not merely an actor within it, but a playwright, a set designer, and sometimes a god. And you, once blind to its rules, begin to perceive the code. Dream physics often feel real. People wake up shocked by sensations they felt. The rush of wind while flying, the pain of a fall, the weight of an object. This raises unsettling questions. If dreams can feel this real, what guarantees that waking life isn't also a kind of dream? The consistency of waking physics is not proof of waking reality. It may just be a more stable dream, or a dream we agree upon. Perhaps we do not live in the real world, but in the most persistent dream. The ancient traditions from Vedanta to Tibetan Buddhism have long echoed this. The world is Maya, an illusion, a lucid dream of the divine. If our senses can be deceived nightly, why trust them daily? If consciousness can construct entire realities in sleep, what prevents it from doing so while awake? Dream physics are not chaos. They are not nonsense. They are not unreal. They are the mirrored laws of inner experience. Where waking physics describe how objects move through space, dream physics describe how meaning moves through mind. To master the dream world is not to escape waking life. It is to see that both are crafted, both respond to intention, both are shaped by the invisible. Perhaps in both worlds, we are not discovering the laws of nature, but the architecture of the soul. Lucid dreaming has long been misunderstood as a novelty or neurological fluke, a curiosity of sleep. Yet when approached with reverence, it reveals itself as something far more profound, a sacred mirror, not merely an arena for control or fantasy, but a luminous domain where the soul reflects itself, contemplates itself, and transforms. Lucidity in dreams opens a doorway, not just into the mind, but into the mystery of consciousness itself. When the dreamer becomes aware they are dreaming, something ancient stirs. The realization that the self is not fixed, the world not solid, and truth not confined to waking perception. Lucid dreaming, practiced with intention, becomes not entertainment, but initiation. Long before the term lucid dreaming existed, traditions around the world understood the spiritual potency of the dream state. In Tibetan Buddhism, the practice of dream yoga serves as a path toward enlightenment. Here, the dream is not dismissed, but cultivated, trained, entered consciously. Mastery of dreams is seen as preparation for the ultimate transition, death. In Vedantic Hinduism, the Upanishads describe 4 states of consciousness: waking, Jagrat; dreaming, Svapna; deep sleep, Sushupti; and the 4th, Turiya, pure consciousness that transcends all. In this framework, dreams are seen not as illusions but as reflections of deeper layers of self. In shamanic cultures from the Americas to Australia, dreams are pathways to other worlds. Shamans dreamwalk into the realms of ancestors, spirits, and teachings not available in daylight. Here, lucidity is not an exception, it is a calling. These ancient systems remind us to awaken in a dream is not an anomaly, it is a spiritual event. Lucid dreaming is more than recognizing you're asleep. It is the cultivation of meta-awareness, the ability to observe your own consciousness from a higher vantage point, like a monk seated silently within the mind. This awareness sharpens with practice. Through reality checks, dream journaling, meditation, and intention setting, we train the mind to notice itself. This noticing does not end in sleep. It spills back into waking life. Each moment of lucidity, in dream or wake, is a bell of mindfulness. It reminds us that we are not merely swept along by thoughts, desires, or fears. We are capable of witnessing them. And in that witnessing, we rediscover our freedom. In this way, lucid dreaming is not just a night practice. It is a form of spiritual vigilance. When one becomes lucid in a dream, the symbols of the subconscious do not disappear. They intensify. One might encounter a guide, a threatening figure, a long-lost relative. These are not mere figments. They are psychic messengers, aspects of the self made visible. A lucid dream allows us to interact with them consciously. We can speak to our fears, embrace the child within us, ask questions of our higher self. This brings us into contact with the shadow, the parts of us we have disowned, hidden, or rejected. In waking life, the shadow operates unconsciously. In dreams, it often wears masks, monsters, strangers, enemies. But when we recognize the dream and face the figure, we reclaim lost parts of ourselves. Lucidity, then, becomes a psycho-spiritual integration, a therapy for the soul. It is the conscious retrieval of the fragmented self, bound together again through symbol and encounter. The dream responds to intention. More than technique or control, lucid dreaming begins with a question. What do you seek? Before sleep, one might set an intention like a prayer. Show me what I need to understand. Let me confront my fear. Reveal to me my inner teacher. Such intentions echo through the dream world like tuning forks. They shape the texture of what follows. A sincere question attracts an answer, sometimes symbolic, sometimes direct. The dream becomes a dialogue with the invisible. This is not mere autosuggestion. It is a form of spiritual magnetism. In dreaming, thought and intention are causal forces. They bend the reality of the dream space. To intend is to invite. Lucid dreams often begin with control, flying, shaping the environment, walking through walls. But with deeper practice, the desire for control falls away. What emerges is a yearning to dissolve. Some dreamers report experiences of ego death within lucid states, merging with light, dissolving into the void, becoming awareness itself. These moments are not frightening. They are often described as ecstatic, peaceful, divine. The boundaries of self disappear, and what remains is presence, vast and luminous. Mystical traditions across time have described similar states: nirvana, samadhi, unio mystica. Lucid dreaming becomes a microcosm of these experiences, a rehearsal, or perhaps a glimpse. In this way, lucidity evolves, from play to practice to surrender. Dreams often simulate death, falling, drowning, being chased, vanishing. But when one is lucid, death transforms. It becomes an initiation. In many ancient traditions, especially Tibetan Buddhism, dream awareness is training for the moment of death. The belief is simple but profound. If you can awaken in the dream, you can awaken in the bardo, the liminal space after death. There, lucidity determines liberation. Some lucid dreamers experience direct rehearsals of death, watching their dream body decay, being pulled into light, witnessing their life from outside time. Each encounter becomes a preparation, not in fear, but in reverence. Lucid dreaming is not escape from death, but intimacy with its mystery. Yet not all lucidity is enlightenment. The power to control dreams can become a spiritual trap. One may become intoxicated by fantasy, reshaping lovers, landscapes, indulgent desires. The dream becomes a stage for ego gratification, not exploration. In such states, awareness narrows rather than expands. True spiritual dreaming requires humility, a willingness to listen, not just shape, to be surprised, to be taught. The most profound lucid dreams often begin not with, "What can I do?" but with, "What can I learn?" To walk the dream as a seeker, not a sovereign. Lucid dreaming is not a separate life. Its gifts must be carried back into waking. A lesson from a dream guide might echo in a moment of crisis. A feeling of formlessness may awaken in meditation. The courage to face a nightmare might become the courage to face grief. This is the essence of spiritual dreaming. Transference. The dream is not a fantasy retreat. It is a training ground. Just as monks practice compassion on the cushion to bring it into the street, the lucid dreamer learns awareness in sleep to awaken more fully in life. To dream lucidly is not to escape reality, it is to pierce it. The awakened dreamer sees that consciousness is the root of all worlds, that waking life, too, is a kind of dream, persistent, collective, rich with symbol, and that awareness is the thread running through both. When we walk with lucidity, we walk with reverence. Every image becomes a teaching, every figure a facet of the self, every world, inner or outer, a manifestation of the mystery. To dream with open eyes, to live as though dreaming, this is the path. Lucidity is not about control, it is about communion, with the dream, with the soul, with the silent architect who shapes both. That waking life, too, is a kind of dream, persistent, collective, rich with symbol, and that awareness is the thread running through both. When we walk with lucidity, we walk with reverence. Every image becomes a teaching, every figure a facet of the self, every world, inner or outer, a manifestation of the mystery. To dream with open eyes, to live as though dreaming, this is the path. Lucidity is not about control, it is about communion, with the dream, with the soul, with the silent architect who shapes both. What if sleep is not just rest? What if dreaming is not mere processing, but healing? For thousands of years, cultures across the globe have revered dreams as sacred portals into the soul. In ancient Greece, the practice of incubated dreams was widespread. Pilgrims would enter dream temples, offer prayers, and sleep in hopes of divine visions from Asclepius, god of healing. In indigenous traditions from Australia to the Americas, dreams carry guidance, ancestral wisdom, and even specific instructions for physical or spiritual ailments. These cultures never dismissed dreams as random. They understood the unconscious is not a wilderness, it is an inner sanctuary. Today, science is catching up. From the pioneering work of Carl Jung and Marie-Louise von Franz, to modern studies in neuropsychology and trauma therapy, we are beginning to recognize the dream as a realm of deep restoration. The unconscious mind, once thought irrational, is emerging as a subtle and creative intelligence capable of immense healing. Lucid dreaming, in particular, amplifies this possibility. It brings volition and clarity into the shadowy theater of the dream. And when intention meets symbol, alchemy occurs. Before healing, there is wounding. The psyche, like the body, bears scars. Many dreams do not soothe but agitate. They expose persistent fears and anxieties, unresolved grief, patterns of abandonment or betrayal, shame that has gone unnamed for decades. These wounds often surface in symbolic form: recurring nightmares, pursuers or stalkers, crumbling buildings or broken machines, fragments of old relationships or forgotten places. The unconscious is not cruel. It reveals these fragments to initiate repair. The dream does not mock our pain. It encircles it with symbol and invites us to see. Lucid dreaming provides the rare chance to look these wounds in the eye, to touch them, to interact with them. A door long rusted shut begins to creak open. In the dream, we do not only observe our pain, we participate in its healing. Trauma shatters the continuity of time. It traps us in frozen loops, sensations, images, and beliefs that echo through decades. Dreams often reflect this disruption. A veteran dreams each night of a battlefield. A survivor revisits a moment of violation or terror. A child within us keeps reliving abandonment or punishment. The trauma dreams are not simply memories. They are unprocessed signals calling for resolution. But with lucidity, something extraordinary happens. The dream becomes a site of transformation. The dreamer may change the outcome of a traumatic scene, confront the abuser with newfound power, offer care to a terrified inner self, enact closure where none was possible. Lucid dreaming becomes a space of neuroplastic healing. The emotional brain rewrites old circuitry. The soul regains its lost ground. In the dream, the body trembles and then exhales. A trapped voice speaks. A long silenced truth is heard. Here, the dream is not retrospective. It is liberatory. The mind and body are not two. They are a single instrument vibrating at different frequencies. In dreams, especially lucid ones, their union becomes vividly apparent. Dreamers often report sensations of healing light coursing through the body, hands placed over a wound or illness with calming effect, encounters with dream doctors or symbolic surgeries. And upon waking, many feel reduced physical tension, emotional catharsis, a shift in chronic symptoms. Science increasingly supports the power of mental simulation. Studies in sports psychology and rehabilitation show that imagining a movement can stimulate the same neural pathways as performing it. The body, in many ways, believes the dream. A healing imagined in the liminal realm of sleep may initiate real embodied change. This is not magical thinking. It is the quiet merging of physiology and image. The dream does not speak in words. It speaks in symbols, dense, layered, emotionally charged images that compress entire lifetimes of experience. A snake in a dream might be a symbol of fear, a representation of transformation, a sacred healer from ancient myth. A shattered mirror may reflect a broken self-image. A soaring bird may signal a longing for liberation. Every image is a door, and lucid dreaming gives us the key. To ask, what does this mean to me? What happens if I engage with it? Can I change the symbol's context? Is to become an active agent in one's own healing. Carl Jung called this process active imagination. It is the conversation between ego and unconscious. In lucid dreams, this conversation becomes embodied theatre. We do not just understand the symbol, we inhabit it. Compassion is the cornerstone of healing, and in dreams, it often emerges more freely than in waking life. Why? Because in dreams, the inner critic sleeps, the superego softens, the subconscious opens its arms. Lucid dreamers describe profound moments, embracing a version of themselves left behind, speaking words of forgiveness to their reflection, holding the hand of their child self through a dark forest. These moments matter, they imprint. In the dream, we love ourselves not in theory, but in gesture. To offer comfort to oneself in the dream is to rewire the emotional brain. The neural grooves of self-loathing begin to erode. A new melody begins to play. Nightmares are not just disruptions, they are accelerated messages from the unconscious. The monster that chases you, the panic of being lost, the death that arrives without warning, these are calls to awaken. With lucidity, the nightmare becomes a curriculum. Turn to face the pursuer, ask it what it wants, watch it shift into something else. Time and again, dreamers report that when they meet terror with curiosity, it transforms. The monster becomes a lost part of the self. The collapse becomes a breakthrough. The nightmare is not our enemy. It is our deepest intelligence, wearing a mask. Some dreams go beyond therapy. They touch something eternal. These are the dreams of dazzling light or celestial beings, voices of guidance from ancestors or spirit guides, flying through infinite landscapes, merging with the cosmos. Whether these experiences are neurochemical, archetypal, or transpersonal is an open question, but their effect is unmistakable. A profound peace upon waking, a new sense of direction, a shift in worldview. These are not just dreams, they are initiations. Lucid dreamers often describe these moments as the most important of their lives. The dream becomes a temple of remembrance. Even the most luminous dream must be anchored. To carry its medicine into waking life, we must practice integration. This might include dream journaling, with special attention to emotional tone, artistic expression, drawing, music, movement, ritual acts, lighting candles, setting altars, making offerings, sharing the dream in trusted circles. Integration solidifies the neural and symbolic change. It creates continuity between the worlds. Without integration, the dream is a spark. With it, the dream becomes a flame that warms the soul. Each act of honoring the dream is an act of self-love. Healing in the dream state is not metaphor. It is a real process unfolding in the depths of consciousness. Through lucid awareness, we witness our wounds with clarity, interact with our fears creatively, rediscover inner strength, commune with the sacred. We meet the inner healer, that wise, intuitive part of us that has always known how to tend the soul. The dream is not an escape, it is a return. Each night, a door opens within. We are invited not just to sleep, but to remember that we are whole, that we are healing, that we are already home. What if dreams are not confined to the solitude of one brain? What if, under certain conditions, consciousness spills beyond the boundary of the individual and enters into a shared field, a mental commons where thought, image, and intention mingle across borders? The idea of shared dreaming or mutual dreaming has haunted the edges of human understanding for centuries. Often dismissed by science as anecdotal or coincidental, it continues to resurface in spiritual traditions, parapsychological studies, and the testimony of lucid dreamers. Some dreamers, mystics, and researchers have even claimed it offers evidence of a deeper, unified substratum of reality, a mind beneath minds. Could our dreams occasionally connect, not only symbolically but experientially? Could the sleeping mind, which dissolves ego boundaries, become a doorway into interpersonal consciousness? And if so, what does that mean about the nature of mind itself? This chapter explores that possibility, the bridge between dreaming minds. From ancient traditions to modern accounts, from psychological theory to metaphysical speculation, we will follow the subtle thread that suggests our dreams may not be as solitary or as private as we once thought. Many indigenous and ancient cultures do not consider the mind to be a sealed, isolated system. Instead, they speak of the dreaming world as communal, a terrain where personal and collective overlap. In Aboriginal Australian Dreamtime, the landscape is alive with shared ancestral memory and sacred events that are redreamed by generations. In Tibetan dream yoga, advanced practitioners may enter collective states of consciousness, using dream work as both spiritual discipline and intersubjective practice. Shamans from Amazonian and Siberian cultures report encountering each other in the dream realm, sharing visions and undertaking journeys together through symbolic terrains. To these traditions, shared dreaming is not extraordinary. It is simply a function of a connected cosmos, where the inner and outer, self and other, blur into a participatory reality. Western materialism has long resisted this notion, privileging the brain as the origin of consciousness and dismissing transpersonal experiences as delusional. Yet even within modern parapsychology and fringe science, there are whispers of a different view. Experiments attempting to synchronize sleep cycles and test for dream telepathy, reports of twins or close friends sharing detailed, overlapping dream content, lucid dreamers who report meeting each other in the same imagined space, sometimes performing identical dream actions without prior agreement. What if the dream is not just internal? What if, sometimes, it's a communal architecture, a psychic agora we unconsciously visit together? The most compelling cases of shared dreaming often include two or more individuals waking with the same setting, characters, or events, reported independently, precise agreement on dream-specific details never discussed prior, lucid agreements to meet in a dream location, followed by astonishingly similar recollections. Consider partners who dream they are in the same house, having the same conversation, even when separated by time zones. Siblings dreaming of each other's experiences before being told about them, sometimes with emotional or symbolic accuracy. Online lucid dreaming communities, where members attempt coordinated dream experiments with protocols to rule out suggestion or chance. While skeptics argue these cases are coincidence, misremembered dreams, or confabulation, the volume and detail of some reports is difficult to dismiss outright. There is a pattern, and where there is pattern, there may be principle, a hidden law of consciousness yet to be understood. If shared dreaming occurs, how might it work? 1. Quantum or non-local mind. Some interpretations of quantum consciousness suggest that mind is not confined by space-time. In this model, dreams represent a collapse into a non-local shared field, where minds can overlap through resonance or entanglement. Jung's idea of archetypes and the collective unconscious proposes that we are all tapping into the same symbolic layer of reality. Shared dreams might arise from overlap in archetypal currents, especially during times of emotional synchronicity. A controversial yet persistent idea that dreams can function as a form of telepathy, thought, when unfiltered by the waking mind, may communicate soul to soul, especially between emotionally bonded individuals. If reality is a simulation, perhaps dreams are temporary portals to a shared rendering layer where multiple player minds occasionally intersect or co-edit an immersive subroutine. Rupert Sheldrake's theory suggests that memories and behaviors are transmitted through fields. In dreams, this might enable patterned access to shared morphic fields, allowing for convergence in content and symbol. These models differ in metaphysics, but they all suggest the same thing. The dream is not locked inside your skull. Rather, it may be a door to a larger mental ecology. Lucid dreaming opens an intriguing possibility, setting intention to connect with others in the dream realm, not passively, but through conscious participation. Some dreamers report sending messages to others in their sleep, creating dream meeting spots for friends or partners to visit, practicing shared rituals, meditations, or healing actions together while dreaming. The key seems to be mutual intent before sleep, emotional or psychic closeness, clear dream recall, journaling, and follow-up conversations. These practices echo the principles of entanglement and resonance. When minds are attuned, connection becomes more likely, as if coherence strengthens the dream bridge. Imagine a future where groups of lucid dreamers gather nightly, not in physical rooms, but in dream temples. Imagine a school, a lab, a sanctuary, built in shared inner space, revisited and evolved through conscious collaboration. These are not mere fantasies, but blueprints waiting for cultural legitimacy. With new frontiers come new responsibilities. If minds can connect in sleep, we must ask, can one intrude upon another's dream space? Is consent possible in the liminal? Who owns a shared memory? How do we navigate dream boundaries when mutual reality is contested? These questions are no longer fantasy. As technology explores dream sharing and sleep-based communication, ethical frameworks must emerge. Just as laws arose for cyberspace, bioethics, and AI, the dream is sacred, and in shared space, respect becomes essential. The ethics of dream communion may require an entirely new language of relational boundaries, symbolic ownership, and psychic sovereignty. Even if shared dreams cannot be empirically proven by traditional science, they may still carry profound psychological and spiritual meaning. A symbol that arises in two minds may indicate collective psychic need, a message for the tribe or the relationship. A shared vision may function as a soul contract, synchronicity, or sacred task. A joint experience in a dream might catalyze deep healing, emotional resolution, or creative insight that neither person could have accessed alone. Perhaps the deeper truth is not scientific proof, but spiritual resonance. The shared dream reminds us we are not alone, not in our thoughts, not in our struggles, and not in our sleep. Dreams remain mysterious, but one thing grows clear. The mind is not a closed system. Whether through deep intimacy, archetypal convergence, or non-local connection, our dreams may touch, not always, not predictably, but enough to suggest a hidden web of interbeing, flickering beneath the surface of sleep. To dream is to enter a field of possibility, and in that field, perhaps, we sometimes find each other. Not by accident, but by design. Shared dreaming is not about proving the paranormal. It is about remembering the communion at the heart of mind. In dreams, we are not many, we are one. We begin again, not at the start, but in a hall of mirrors. In lucid dreaming, one sometimes wakes within the dream. But what if you wake again and again? What if lucidity itself is caught in layers? Who then is the self who watches the self awaken? This chapter is a descent into recursive awareness, into dreams within dreams, selves within selves, a meditation on how the dream state reveals the illusion of unity in our consciousness. Lucid dreams are often seen as portals of control, yet they may also be mazes of reflected identity. We may step into a dream convinced we are awake, only to find we are still dreaming, again and again. Welcome to the mirror labyrinth. Nested dreams are not just a literary device from Edgar Allan Poe or a cinematic illusion from Inception. They are a common and deeply disorienting phenomenon experienced by lucid dreamers across the world. Many report sequences where they wake up in their bed, only to discover upon closer inspection that they are still dreaming, gain lucidity, only to lose it in a deeper layer. Experience 3, 4, even 6 levels of false awakening in a single night. These recursive loops challenge not only our sense of time and place, but our sense of identity. When waking is no longer a clear boundary, the mind is forced to confront the question, what is the anchor of self-awareness? Dreams within dreams create a powerful cognitive tension. They reveal that what we consider stable, the bed, the room, the body, may itself be part of a hallucinated layer. False awakenings are more than simple illusions. They are psychological traps, perfect replicas of waking consciousness. complete with details from memory and emotional tone. In such states, dreamers may check their phone, read messages, brush their teeth, engage in conversations they later realize never happened, begin to doubt whether they have ever been awake. These loops often generate anxiety, frustration, or even fear. Yet they are also opportunities for insight. Each false awakening is a test of awareness. Can you question reality even when it looks perfect? Lucid dreamers often use reality checks, like counting fingers, reading text, or flipping light switches, to determine if they are dreaming. But what happens when even these checks fail? This is where the labyrinth tightens. The mind must learn to question itself. At the core of the mirror labyrinth lies a deeper enigma. Who is watching whom? In lucid dreams, we often experience a split perspective, a dream self navigating the environment, a higher observer aware that it is dreaming. But as layers build, so do the observers. The observer in one layer may itself be observed by another. Consciousness becomes reflexive, aware of its own awareness. This recursive witnessing mirrors Eastern meditative insights into the illusion of ego. The observer is not a fixed point, but a hall of reflections. Every eye is watched by another eye. At some depth, the mind begins to unravel its certainty. The question, who is the dreamer, becomes a spiral. The answer is no longer singular. Ego identity, our story of self, is deeply challenged by lucid dreaming, especially in recursive dreams, where one may shift between multiple characters. One may witness themselves from outside the body. One may become formless presence, watching the scene unfold. This leads to ego dissolution, not in the annihilating sense of psychedelic ego death, but in a gradual, subtle unbinding. You are the dreamer. You are the dreamed. You are the one who watches both. Lucid dreaming thus becomes a training ground for deconstructing identity. Every nested dream suggests a nested self, and if selves can nest, how real is any of them? This points to a model of mind that is not linear but fractal. Each self contains another self. Each world is embedded in another world. Perception itself is a recursive function. Dreams show us the possibility that reality, too, may be structured this way. The physical world as one layer, the dream world as another, the astral, the archetypal, the symbolic, all nested like Russian dolls. Each awakening might just be an emergence into another container. Some fear recursive dreams, others seek them. To some, the mirror labyrinth is disorienting, a trap of endless self-reflection. To others, it is the sacred architecture of consciousness itself. The key is not to seek escape, but to awaken within, to realize that every layer is a lesson, that lucidity is not control, but compassion, that self-awareness is not fixed, but fluid. In the labyrinth, you don't find the answer, you become the answer. You look into the mirror looks back, and in that moment, you see not a self, but a stream of awareness, reflecting upon itself endlessly. You realize that dreams are not merely illusions of the mind, but invitations to witness the many masks of the self. The mirror labyrinth is not a trap, it is a map of minds nested in minds, a map of awakenings within awakenings, a map leading not out but inward. And as you awaken, again you smile, for the dreamer has begun to see. There exists a realm not fully asleep, nor entirely awake. It is the whisper between states, the edge of consciousness where imagery flows unbidden, yet the mind stirs with strange awareness. This is the liminal zone, the territory of hypnagogia, on the threshold of sleep, and hypnopompia, on the brink of waking. It is where dreams are born, dissolve, and sometimes transmit messages. In this chapter, we drift into the fluid layers of this ambiguous space. and explore how it becomes a conduit for intuition, surreal art, and deep psychological revelation. As the body sinks towards sleep, the mind opens a strange window. Before dreams form coherent narratives, images flicker, faces that morph, geometric patterns, impossible architectures, words spoken in languages you don't know. This hypnagogic state is rich in sensation, but fleeting in form. It is neither fully dream nor entirely thought. It is liquid awareness. Researchers associate hypnagogia with theta brainwave activity, increased internal imagery, creative insight, and symbolic content. Here, the mind becomes both canvas and artist, painting from the well of the unconscious. Just as the hypnagogic state precedes dreaming, hypnopompia escorts us out. In this state, images often persist. The echo of a dream lingers. A phrase or name remains vivid. A strange clarity touches waking thought. Unlike groggy sleep inertia, hypnopompia can bring lucid insight. Some report solutions to problems, poetic inspiration, or even precognitive fragments in this narrow gap. Here, intuition thrives. Throughout history, artists, writers, and inventors have courted the liminal. Salvador Dali napped with keys in hand, waking at the first drop to catch dream fragments. Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla claimed to access visions at the edge of sleep. William Blake and Carl Jung saw visions that emerged in altered states. These examples point to a truth. The liminal mind is a generator of novelty. It bypasses rational filters and releases deep symbolic associations. The surreal, the abstract, the mythic, all emerge here with startling vividness. In dreams we sleep through this door, but in liminality we can observe it opening. In the liminal, we often sense things before we understand them. A name arises before a call comes. A symbol reappears from childhood. A knowing surfaces without source. Is this intuition, memory, signal from a deeper unconscious? Some dream researchers believe that these states allow for crosstalk between layers of consciousness. The intuitive right brain communicates freely. The emotional body releases echoes of insight. The collective unconscious pulses through archetypal resonance. Premonitions, while controversial, are frequently reported in liminal and dream states. Whether literal or symbolic, they deserve exploration not as prophecy, but as signals from the hidden psyche. The liminal zone also echoes the mystical. Many spiritual traditions describe altered states that mirror hypnagogia. Sufi whirling to enter twilight consciousness, Buddhist visualization practices before sleep, indigenous trance states invoked by drumming. Modern psychology might reduce these to neural states. Yet those who experience liminal phenomena often describe them as sacred, as though the veil between dimensions had thinned. In the liminal, dream becomes vision, imagination becomes message. Whether viewed through the lens of the mystical or the psychological, what matters is this: the liminal invites encounter. We do not always sleep to dream. Sometimes we dream in the spaces between. The liminal mind is not a glitch in consciousness, it is a bridge. To walk this edge is to embrace the blur between thought and vision, welcome symbols that make no immediate sense, learn to listen when the rational mind sleeps. Here, on the edge of night, something ancient stirs, and if you are quiet enough, you may hear it whisper. Drift gently, listen closely, the veil is thin. Have you ever woken from a dream and, for a few moments, questioned which world was real? In lucid dreams, this confusion deepens. The sensations can be vivid, the logic internal and coherent, the emotions profound. Time may stretch or bend, but the realness often remains disturbingly intact. This chapter explores the shifting boundary between dream and waking life, a philosophical and psychological inquiry into the nature of reality itself. Lucid dreams can mimic waking perception in uncanny detail, visual clarity comparable to daylight, the sensation of touch, temperature, even pain, emotional intensity often surpassing waking states. Philosopher Thomas Metzinger posits that the dream ego and waking ego are neurologically indistinguishable. The brain constructs a reality model, whether you're awake or dreaming. So what defines real? Is it external verification, shared experience, coherence across time, or is it simply consistency of perception? If a dream reality is internally consistent and experientially rich, can it not be said to be real to the dreamer? Two major schools of thought debate the function of dreams. The simulation theory. Dreams are neurobiological simulations, internal rehearsals for real-world threats. Threat simulation theory. Emotional integration and memory consolidation. A sandbox of the subconscious. The portal hypothesis. Dreams are not mere byproducts but gateways to other layers of reality, to collective or transpersonal consciousness, to non-ordinary states of awareness. Lucid dreams, in particular, challenge the boundaries. If consciousness can operate independently of sensory input, might it be tuning into another bandwidth of reality? Or is it a simulation so advanced we can't tell the difference? Many philosophical traditions have wrestled with this dream-reality paradox. In idealism, reality is fundamentally mental. Dreams are not less real. They are just another facet of mind's fabric. In realism, waking reality is objectively real. Dreams are distortions or imitations. In phenomenology, what matters is experience. Reality is not a fixed domain, but the flow of perceived phenomena. Finally, in constructivism, reality is constructed in the mind through belief, language, and culture. Dreams and waking states are both constructs with different rules. Lucid dreams, in particular, echo this model. The dreamer can reshape environments through will alone. The laws of the dream world reflect belief and expectation. Philosophers from Zhuangzi to Descartes have proposed the dream argument. How can we be certain we are not dreaming right now? In lucid dreams, the dreamer can believe they are awake. Upon waking, they realize they were wrong. So how do we ever know? Even neuroscience struggles to define a sharp border. Consciousness is continuous, not binary. Micro-dreams may bleed into waking. Hypnagogia can generate false realities. If our reality model is brain-dependent, then dreams are just another model. This destabilizes certainty, but it opens a powerful doorway. To question reality is to wake up. Lucid dreamers use reality checks to test their state, looking at text twice, counting fingers, trying to push through walls. Strangely, these tools often fail in dreams, revealing the glitch in the matrix. But what if we applied these tests to waking life? When you feel certain, ask, what am I not seeing? When you feel real, ask, what defines this moment? When the world seems stable, ask, am I dreaming this too? This isn't paranoia, it's ontological humility, recognizing the fragility of what we call real. We stand on the edge of the real, looking into a sea of illusion, but perhaps the sea looks back. Lucid dreaming teaches us that perception is fluid, that certainty is a luxury, that awareness can transcend boundaries. To know reality, we must question it. To awaken, we must doubt the obvious. And perhaps the greatest dream is the one where we believe we are fully awake. Dream deep, question gently, walk carefully along the edge. As we step out of this long journey through lucid dreaming, consciousness, and the intricate architecture of the mind, a lingering question floats in the stillness, like the final echo of a distant song. Who dreams the dreamer? Throughout this exploration, we have wandered across spectral geographies, where time folds in on itself and perception defies definition. We have stood at the intersection of inner vision and outer illusion, peeling away layers of assumed truth. What we thought was solid, we found to be vapor. What we believed to be fiction began to reveal its depth and resonance. We have walked through labyrinths made of thought, swam in oceans of symbols, and stared into mirrors that refused to reflect us back unchanged. The mind, in all its multitudes, proved to be both stage and story, actor and author. In its heart lies paradox, a puzzle with no edge pieces, but a center that pulses with a knowing that words cannot fully hold. This was never solely a discourse on dreams. Dreams were merely the entry point. This was a descent into the deepest caverns of the self, a confrontation with the watcher behind the eyes, the architect behind the veil. It was about the self that wanders between dimensions, slipping unnoticed through the membrane of waking life and dream, seeking something it already knows but struggles to remember. And beyond even that, it was about the awareness that witnesses both, the unmoved mover, the silent listener, the dreamer behind the dreaming. And so we arrive here, at the threshold, not a destination, but a new opening, the edge of the real, and the beginning of something vaster still. We often treat waking life as the stable platform, dreams as detours, illusions, digressions. But what if this assumption is reversed? What if waking life is the detour and dreams are the map? What if the mind in dream is not inventing, but remembering, recalling a deeper continuity that we call myth, archetype, or soul? Perhaps the dream is not the deviation, but the mirror. A mirror held not before the body, but before the psyche. A mirror that reflects the hidden architecture of perception, the quiet structures that scaffold our reality but evade our waking scrutiny. A mirror that bends time and collapses logic to remind us, you are not only the experiencer, you are the weaver, the witness, and the woven. In lucid dreams, we catch rare glimpses of this, but even outside of sleep, there are cracks. Fleeting moments when the illusion thins, and something brilliant flickers through the veil. To remember this mystery is to walk with reverence, to treat each breath, each glance, each question as a portal, to live in wonder, not because we know, but because we are finally aware of how much we don't, and how beautiful that unknowing can be. We are not just interpreters of dreams, we are the dream, and we are the space in which the dream unfolds. So what now? Do we return to the routines, the deadlines, the scrolls and feeds? Do we tuck this exploration away like a childhood book, occasionally reopened but never re-entered? Or do we dare, truly dare, to live with the awareness that the boundary between worlds is permeable? This journey has not given us all the answers, but it has gifted us tools, lenses, practices, echoes. You are invited to observe your thoughts as if they were a dream, malleable and rich with symbolism, to question your certainty as if it were a veil, thin, shifting, temporary, to look at the world not only for what it appears to be, but for what it could become when perception is softened by wonder, to greet synchronicity with curiosity, to let mystery be your teacher. To be lucid, even while awake, is not to escape reality, but to meet it with open eyes, eyes that see beyond habit, eyes that remember. Lucid dreaming is not an escape, it is an invitation, a sacred rehearsal, a rehearsal for what it means to wake up, to choose presence in a world that so often wants you asleep. What you cultivate in dream presence, curiosity, fearlessness, wonder, these qualities are not ornamental, they are foundational. They help you build a life that is awake to itself, a life where meaning is not dictated, but discovered moment by moment. Dreams train us to recognize illusion, but more than that, they train us to love the illusion even as we see through it. And this is the paradox. No illusion is absolute, and no reality is final. There is always more. This is the final part of Tape 03, but the archive is not closed, because the true archive does not live in books or recordings. It lives within you. Every memory, every forgotten dream, every strange coincidence that made you pause, every moment of clarity that felt like remembering something ancient. You are the scribe and the script. You are the dreamer and the dreamed. You are the voice that narrates the story and the silence that holds it. And perhaps, if you listen closely tonight, you may hear another voice rising, not from outside, but from within. Awaken, dear one. This too is a dream, but you are not lost in it. You are learning to wake. The dream continues, but now, so does your awareness.